Nothing's been the same since New York.
Oh, really? Well, I didn't notice that at all.
You experience things, and then they're over, and you still can't explain them. Gods, aliens, other dimensions. I'm just a man in a can. The only reason I haven't cracked up is probably because you moved in, which is great. I love you. I'm lucky. But honey, I can't sleep. You go to bed, I come down here. I do what I know. I tinker. Threat is imminent, and I have to protect the one thing that I can't live without. That's you. And my suits, they're
Machines.
part of me.
A distraction.
Maybe.
That was a clip from Iron Man 3, and I'm pleased to be joined by one of the stars of the movie. It's Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, terrific. Thank you very much indeed. And I've just seen Iron Man 3, and my head is ringing. This is a huge, big, noisy action romp. Tell us about Iron Man 3 and Pepper Potts and what she's up to here.
Well, I actually haven't seen the movie yet.
So hang on. I've seen the film and you haven't.
Correct.
I could tell you all about it.
I'm sure you could.
You're very good.
I didn't understand the script, so you could tell me everything about it.
You didn't. What didn't you understand about it?
I find it difficult to follow. Like the sci-fi stuff. Like I read it and I reread it, but it just doesn't permeate somehow. I can't.
Right.
I never understand what's happening. I just say, please tell me where to stand, and I learn my lines, and then I do my. They explain like, you feel this now, and I'm like, okay, great.
Oh, okay, right. So when the machines are hitting the machines, and then other machines come and hit them, you don't need to know or understand about that, as long as you're being told what to do and
exactly
and what to say. Well,
like they were explaining that I get injected with something and it'll make me do this and I'll look like that, and it's all green screen and they're going to paint it on my face. I'm like, okay.
Well, you get injected with this thing called extremis, and then you glow as though you've had porridge for breakfast.
Ooh.
And you've had too much porridge.
Okay.
And then
I've had radioactive porridge.
And then it gives you the gift of flight. It's something like that.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know. Did that make any more sense than when the producer was explaining it to you?
Yes, actually, it did.
Okay. Anyway, so look,
the porridge reference really helped me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, there was a TV ad in the UK going back many years for a thing called Ready Brek, and when you ate it, you glowed inside, and that's what this movie reminds me of.
Fantastic.
That's what Extremis is. It's radioactive porridge. Anyway, apart from all that, before it gets to the crazy bit, tell us about what's happening as far as you understand it in Iron Man 3.
So, as far as I understand, Pepper and Tony are now living together, and their relationship has deepened, and it's actually it was really fun to do those scenes because it's gone from that kind of comedic banter to something, a little bit more real and interesting. Pepper's still the CEO of Stark Enterprises. And then Guy Pearce comes and introduces this thing that he wants Stark to do, and this is where I get a little fuzzy on the plot. But then all kinds of action ensues, and then I do a whole bunch of action, and that was my favorite bit.
We had Ray Fiennes on the program talking about the last Harry Potter film, and he couldn't really explain the Elder Wand or the significance of that. So you're in a long tradition of
idiot actors.
No. Clearly, all the evidence is not. But it doesn't. But as a story, and you talked about the comedic banter, people will not be disappointed by that. I mean, it is again a fantastic script, and you do appear to be having a whale of a time.
Yeah, I mean, Shane Black really brought with him. We didn't have Jon Favreau this time, which was hard, but we had Shane Black, who brought amazing stuff, and the script was really fantastic, and it was very, very funny, and then of course working with Robert, who's always changing things, and we're always improvising as well, and it was actually really, really fun artistically to do it and to be with all these great people.
And when you say you're improvising, can you improvise script when you're working with Robert Downey Jr., or can you?
You have to.
Yeah?
He basically, like, if you hand him sides or like the scenes of the day, he kind of throws them out. He rips them in half, he throws them in the garbage, and then you just sort of wing it. It's less on this movie actually, because the script really, the dialogue was really fantastic, and so he did that less this time. But certainly the first two movies, he was rewrite. We were making it up as we went along, basically.
And in this movie, he's kind of, it's sort of back to basics, isn't it? Because there's a scene, I don't think we're giving anything away because it's in the first reel, so we can talk about it. And, your house is destroyed, and
Yes.
and Iron Man Tony Stark loses everything. And so he has to, he's back to basics. He just has to use his brain.
Yes, and I think that's always, I think that's why Iron Man is the most successful of all the superheroes, because he's not magic. He's just a guy, and the relationship to the suit, I think, is very interesting in terms of like the person he has to step up to be in order to inhabit the suit, what the suit determines about him. The suit also kind of represents his ego. And I think it does represent the idea that we're all capable of greatness and capable of a metamorphosis. And so I think people really resonate with the flawed Tony Stark and then the kind of perfect Iron Man suit.
And it's not just him wearing the suit.
No, I get to wear the suit too.
So what was that like? It's difficult to tell the difference between a real suit and then what's CGI'd on top of it. But there is this sequence where you get to wear this stuff. So what was that like?
It was great. I really loved it. A lot of my suit was real. I think the legs were CGI'd, or part of the legs were CGI'd. The best part was that my son came on set that day. He was so into it. So it was great.
This is, your son is 7, I think, is that right?
Yes,
Yeah,
he's 7.
so that must be absolutely astonishing to go on a film set where your mother is essentially a superhero.
Yes, he was. I mean, his little face, it was totally priceless. And then he was trying it on, and he was in heaven. It was very cool.
And I would imagine just to go onto a set like that and to see their family friend Robert Downey Jr. and he is Iron Man and their mum. I'm just trying to get into what that must be like. At the age of 7 or 8 or 9, we're going to parents' evenings, or we might, have some friends around for a sleepover or something. And your kids have a mum who's a superhero. That must lead to some interesting conversations at bedtime.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. They don't really. I mean, that particular day, Moses was really impressed, and he brought it up the other day when we were going to see Justin Bieber. He's a Justin Bieber fan, and he sort of put together that in case we ran into Justin Bieber somewhere in the arena, that he might know that I was in Iron Man. So it was sort of watching the 7-year-old brain piece together who I might be in the larger world. It was very sweet.
I could tell you I was in a steam room with Justin Bieber story.
Is that true?
Well, it is true. Yes, it is true.
Did you see his junk?
Is that a Californian expression? I saw he has a tattoo of a Native American on his left shoulder.
Does he?
But he was wearing a towel. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Did he have the monkey in the steam room?
Well, there was a member of staff in there. They were having a big argument, and I was trying to keep my head down, metaphorically speaking.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, my God.
Anyway, I'm just telling it to, we've all seen Justin Bieber,
Yes. Not like you have, sadly.
No. Anyway, we're slightly off topic here. So
sorry.
No. Will you let your kids? Can they go and see Iron Man 3? Will they get a screening? Is it age appropriate?
They're going to see it today. They're very excited. I don't know if it's age appropriate. I think they've seen 1 and 2 and they've seen the Avengers, so I can't imagine that it's any more. I mean, I'm slightly more distressed in this one, and my son also is very sensitive, so I hope he'll be okay.
And the sign that you're distressed is because you lose your shirt.
Yes, I lose my shirt.
How does that happen?
I have no idea.
We're almost in Justin Bieber territory again.
I know.
He was working out with his shirt off. I mean, can you imagine that? I go to a middle-aged gym. I don't want youngsters there with their shirts off.
Oh, that is so funny.
It's not the way things are supposed to be done. Anyway, so just back on the movie.
Sorry.
When you get a new director, for everyone else, so for everyone listening who's never been in this position, is it like getting a new teacher? Is it like getting a new headmaster in school? Is it all a bit strange for a while, and then everyone finds their place?
Yeah, and especially on this film because Jon Favreau directed the first two. So it was a very odd experience. It's almost like having a new teacher in the middle of the year, where you have all the other people are the same and then all of a sudden there's kind of a new boss. And it was extra weird because Jon Favreau was in the movie as an actor, but he wasn't directing, and so it was bizarre. But we all kind of, the first few days it felt kind of odd, and then we all settled in. And Shane is really, really good, and he's very eccentric, very, very smart, really funny, incredibly quick-witted guy. So he took over with ease, and it ended up being a really good experience.
And Ben Kingsley is in it. So we had this character called the Mandarin, which I understand it because I'm not a comic book chap really, but he's a very famous villain in the franchise.
Apparently.
Can you tell us? Maybe you can't. I mean, can you tell us anything about the Mandarin?
No, not really. I got to meet Ben Kingsley though, and it was awesome. And he's like the best actor ever, and it was very cool. We had lunch together one day. It was fabulous.
And you will be you'll be aware of this because you've lived in the UK for quite a while. But there's a reference, it's one of the best lines in the film. Croydon gets a reference, which I think is the only time Croydon is referenced in a superhero movie ever. But you haven't seen. I've just realised you haven't seen the film.
I haven't seen it, but the other writer, Drew Pearce, he's English, so that explains it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's certainly a line to look at. But I can't talk about the movie if you haven't seen it.
I'm so sorry.
I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it for
I'm
you.
useless. That's all right.
So I was on your website last night, and because I hadn't been on, my wife's on it all the time, and she's sort of
thank you.
signed
Thank
up.
her.
It's signed up to Goop, and I was struck by one of the big things that it says right at the very beginning: is sharing life's positives, and that is the atmosphere that runs throughout the whole of the website. That must be quite tricky, but it's not a bad statement.
Well, I think I'm very curious inherently about everything, especially food and travel and integrative medicine and stuff like that. And I get exposed to really interesting stuff, really interesting information and people. So it's a great way to kind of share the information and recipes and stuff like that. I really love doing it. It's fun.
I would imagine it's quite difficult to get it all in balance, though, because by all accounts, you do the mum thing very seriously. You do the school run stuff. You do the web entrepreneur. You do the acting. You're a superhero. You wear a suit. You don't go to the movies very often, but that's a lot of people asking for your time.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I'm about to have a nervous breakdown, pretty much. Not really.
No, but have you? And as a sort of Californian, really, have you had enough? Was there a point in this endless winter, which is now thankfully sort of past on, where you thought, you know what, the lure of California is slightly stronger?
It was a hard winter this year, wasn't it? It really was hard. It was endless. But it's everything. There's always a balance to everything, and London really is truly one of the greatest cities ever, and there's so much here, and it's so civilized. All the parks just make it makes the city so wonderful to be in, and the culture is incredible. And I guess because I wasn't born here, and I've spent most of my adult life here, but I still am so impressed with it, and I'm still so awed by the architecture and the quality of the art, and the food is so amazing. I'm very happy here.
And do we all respect you? Do we let you travel on the tube if you want to?
Yes, totally. I'm always on the tube, and utilizing all aspects of the city. And Londoners are great. Londoners don't really care. They don't really. We don't get bothered.
So what do we see you in next, Gwyneth? So Iron Man 3 about to dominate screens for a while. What do we see you in next?
I did a little part in a little movie with my friend Mark Ruffalo about sex addiction called Thanks for Sharing, which will be out at some point. That's it. I have a cookbook out called It's All Good that was released last week, I think, which is doing very well, thankfully. So, yeah, more cooking, more acting, more school runs, pretty much.
I could give you a gym recommendation if you want to see where Justin hangs out.
Thank you.
Gwyneth,
let's take that offline.
Okay, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Take care.